Girl, I'm tired. Welcome, 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 wonderful people, to the Joy Show, where you see the world through a mother's eyes, sharp views, strong values, and absolutely no sugarcoating. Let's get into it. Unfortunately, everyone, last week I spent all week in hospital. Why, you might ask? Well, because of a sickle cell crisis. For those of you that don't know what sickle cell means, I'll give you a definition straight from the NHS website. Sickle cell disease is a group of inherited health conditions that affect the red blood cells. The most serious type is called sickle cell anemia. People with sickle cell disease produce unusually shaped red blood cells that can cause problems because they do not live as long as healthy blood cells and can block blood vessels. This blockage can cause excruciating pain, also known as a sickle cell crisis. It's a pain I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. Imagine what it feels like to walk on glass, then multiply that by 10 if you can. And then imagine someone throwing blocks, big, huge bricks at you, and then multiply that by 100. The pain is indescribable. And so just have that in your head as I go on to describe what happened to me throughout the process. So last Monday, I was in a crisis and in severe pain, shortness of breath, abdominal pain, and add onto that, I'm currently pregnant. So yeah, it was a scary time for me. I then proceeded to call the ambulance the ambulance service, and they told me that the ambulance would be on their way. I think they expedited the whole ambulance process because I'm pregnant and they heard me speak about shortness of breath. I think the ambulance took about just 1 hour to arrive at my house. I was alone, and so they made their way upstairs and administered pain relief. I mean, the ambulance crew were just amazing and I can't fault them. So onto the hospital we went. I won't name the hospital, but they took me to the A&E, and then they put me in a cubicle called fit to sit. Me in a sickle cell crisis, fit to sit. If I'm sure those of you that have been in a crisis know that when you're in a crisis, you cannot sit. You can barely lie down, let alone sleep, because the pain is just like, no, it's the pain is excruciating. Even if somebody touches you, it's like they've, stabbed you with 1,000 knives. So imagine telling someone in a crisis that they need to sit in a cubicle. I mean, where's the sense in that? So that's when reality really hit, because I was expected to be taken to a bed, but no, that didn't happen. Instead, I was left in, well, I say left. They did provide me with, adequate pain relief. So, I was expecting a bed as soon as I got to A&E, because the last time that I was in a crisis, I was also pregnant, and I went to the maternity triage because I think I was like almost 33 weeks. So I just went to maternity triage and the process was quick. I was put to a ward, and everything was quick and the pain was managed. So I thought that it would be the same process in this case, but no, it wasn't. In A&E, I was left sitting in the fit to sit cubicle for 24 hours. I yeah, this is where I get frustrated, because this isn't just my story. This is happening all around the country. In 2021, the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Sickle Cell and Thalassemia released a damning report called No One's Listening, an inquiry into the avoidable deaths and failures of care for sickle cell patients in secondary care. And they weren't exaggerating. Says a sickle cell patient died after waiting in A&E for over 7 hours without pain relief. Another was ignored and accused of drug-seeking behavior while in a full-blown crisis. One patient was told that they were fine. Hours later, they died from sepsis. At best, the system is overwhelmed and stretched beyond capacity. And at worst, it's an example of patients being dismissed because their condition is not fully understood. But let me be clear, I don't blame the NHS staff. I've always had great experiences in hospital. Throughout, all my last two pregnancies, the staff has been amazing. Anytime I've had a crisis, I can't fault them because once you get onto the ward, the service is just amazing. The nurses are amazing. The doctors are amazing. I have nothing bad to say about them. But they're working in impossible conditions because there are limited resources and there aren't enough beds and they're just overwhelmed by the demand. So what are they to do? They only have 2 arms, 2 legs. They can't split themselves in 5. Like I said, once you are on the ward, you get the best care. The system is just stretched thin and it's busting at the seams. A&E performance has been deteriorating for years. I think we can all agree with that statement. The 4-hour A&E standard has not been met every month since July 2015. Let that sink in. I'll read out some statistics. In 2023/2024, only 58% of patients in major consultant-led departments were seen within 4 hours. Long waits aren't just numbers, they're deadly. A study showed that patients who spent 3 hours in A&E were 10% more likely to die within 30 days compared to those who waited 2 hours. At 12 hours, the risk increased by 110%. So what's the government doing about this? From where I stand, it looks like they are purposely trying to let the NHS fail to justify privatization. And in the process, line their own pockets. You can disagree with me all you want, but this is where I see it going. Yeah, some of you might say some parts are already be privatized. Exactly. You're proving my point. When the whole thing is swept from under our feet and privatized, what are we gonna do then? In saying that, I met some wonderful people in A&E, patients looking after each other. My husband even brought ice lollies, which I distributed, everyone telling each other stories and their background. Everyone was sharing snacks, offering comfort, but that shouldn't be the system. We shouldn't have to rely on each other and offer each other comfort just because the system is broken. Sickle cell is life-threatening. It's a crisis. Instead of being treated, we are being treated like an afterthought. At one point, it was so bad, I was literally Googling how to set up a hospital or how to set up a sickle cell crisis center so that there can be a dedicated space for sickle cell patients. So let me ask, where's the urgency? Now, don't get me wrong. I know there's been many advances made within the NHS and research to better improve the lives of sickle cell patients. And recently, there's a form of gene therapy out, which I believe costs about £1.6 million, but that the NHS is going to, offer this treatment freely to sickle cell patients. This is amazing, and I thank the NHS for that because this disease is, predominantly within the African and Caribbean community. There's the Asian variant as well, and there are many variants. But I don't believe that all this should be left to the NHS alone, because if it's a black disease, where is the African continent in this? I don't know of any research that has been done in Africa. Prove me wrong. You can prove me wrong and leave your comments below. I don't know. I don't think I've heard of any research in this area. But for example, my background is Nigerian. So I'm just going to limit it to the Nigerian government and not paint all of Africa, the whole continent, with one brush. But I'm just asking the government, so what research and advances have been made in the area of sickle cell if it's, for want of a better word, a black disease? Don't you care for your people? Or you would prefer to just line your pockets? So in that sense, I thank the NHS and in the research that they've done within this in relation to this disease. I'll put my hands up there. But we'll leave that there for now. Let's lighten the mood with something else. Enough heavy stuff. I smile and I'm laughing because of the next topic. It's surprising to me, but my very good friend and at a political mentor, Dr. Lisa Ann Chung, who's the co-founder of Kenley College, an online leadership training organization in the UK, sent me a post about Valentine's Day cards. Now, I know today is not Valentine's Day, and you'd be like, Joy, Valentine's Day was like 14 days ago. I know, but it's still February. It goes. And forgive me for not being on top of things, because obviously, as you know, I've been through it and back. So there are Valentine Day cards for work wives and work husbands. Okay, excuse me, a work husband, a work wife. What does that even mean? Well, my innocent brain thought it was a wife getting her husband a card and thanking him or her for working so hard and just working so hard to keep the family together. And yeah, I didn't know that it was actually having a work husband, like going to work and having a work husband. I don't even know how to describe it so that you can explain. I'm sure you get it, because I'm sure many of you has heard the phrase work wife, work husband. Listen, let's call it what it is. It's emotional cheating. That's all it is. If you are looking to shop for emotional connection at the workplace, which I think the workplace should be what it is for professional relationships. But if you're shopping for emotional relationships when you have a spouse at home, then I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where you're going with that, because some of you are playing dangerous games out there. I hope you win, because I am playing. Well, that's it for today. If this resonated with you, comment below. Let's talk. Don't be stingy. Share it. And don't forget to join me next time on The Joy Show. Thank you. Bye.